Hi guys. So I'm going to take you through this process of creating your silly selfie using Photopea. So just to kind of show you an example of what I'm talking about, this is what you guys are going to be doing. You're going to be applying filters to different areas of the picture, and you are going to fill up the entire picture with these rectangles where filters are going to be applied. Notice that there's different colors, notice that there's different effects that are added, and you guys, hopefully you explored the filters enough to decide on which ones that you want to use. All right. So to start this, you're going to start with your picture. Make sure it's a high resolution picture, open from computer. So I'll just use my funny face that I had the other day. All right. Now, the first thing you're doing is you're going to be cropping it so it gets rid of any of this background space that you don't need or want. So depending on the photo, this one's pretty close up to begin with, but you're going to be using the crop tool, and you can crop it pretty much any size that you want. I'm not very particular, so if you want to make it into a square or a long rectangle, whatever's going to fit best. So you want to crop away any extra space that you don't need. Now, it's a good rule of thumb to go to the background, right click on it, and flatten image. The reason why we do that is sometimes when you crop the picture, you don't exactly crop it permanently, but by right clicking on it and flattening image, you're going to crop it permanently, so you won't have any issues later. So we are now going to use the marquee tool, and you are going to start selecting some rectangles. So the first one I'm going to do right in the middle. I'm going to pick that first eye, maybe, kind of a big area like that, using the marquee tool, and I make my selection. While I'm inside, I right click and I go to layer via copy, and you should see a shortcut here if you want to use it. Okay, so you can see that in my layers window, I now added a new layer, make the background invisible. So this is the layer that I'm going to be working on. And this is the layer that I'm going to be applying a filter. So then you're going to go to Filter, and you can go to either Filter Gallery, or if you found any in Stylize or Pixelate that you might want to use instead, you can absolutely go into that. But I'm just going to go to the Filter Gallery. And you can see that it zooms into that particular rectangle only. You don't see my whole picture. It's only going to be putting this filter on this particular part of my picture. So that's a good visual indication that you have selected the right layer. If you come here and you have the whole picture, like your whole face, then you know that you had selected the wrong layer. You want to make sure that you have the correct layer, and you'll see it here. You have all of your different filters here, and you have all of your attributes that you can change over here. So if you want to review the last video to kind of maneuver through that, you absolutely can. So you can adjust all sorts of things with this, and let's say that this is the one I want. I want to pick Sumi. I say OK. And so you can see that it applied it. If I wanted to change the color of my filter as well, I can always also, if I wanted to, I can go to Adjustments and go to Hue Saturation. And if I hit Colorize and immediately move the saturation up, you can see that I can make this picture monochromatic if I wanted to, so that I can add that as well. So as I'm working, you're going to go back to the background. As I'm working, I'm going to be making shapes, and I'm going to make different sizes, and I'm also going to overlap them. So let's say I want to do something like the nose. Notice that I'm overlapping the other layer, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the background layer. Right click, layer via copy. So you can see here that I now have a different layer that is behind this original layer. So then I go to my layer 2. I'm going to go to Filter, go to Filter Gallery, and I'm going to select a different filter. Now, if you remember from, I was discussing this before, if you go into Sketch, many of the time you're going to get you're going to get these layers that, or these filters that are going to be using specific colors. And these colors were selected already. I'm just going to say okay. These colors that I'm using are selected here and here. So let's say that I want to go back. I don't want this filter. I do want to use that filter, but I actually want to use different colors. So let's say that I want to use red and I want to use white. I'm going to click on these two squares and I'm going to switch them. So now if I go back to filter gallery, and I go back to that one that I liked, halftone pattern, you can now see that it's using the colors from my foreground and my background. Okay. So some of the layers that I'm going to be picking are going to be local color, meaning colors that are not changed from what the original colors are. For example, I did this before in the earlier filter that I was using. So before I used Sumi. So you can see Sumi uses what they call local color. Local color is just a fancy term for original colors or natural colors that I would have. So you can see that the ones that are in brushstroke seem to pretty much all use local color. Yeah, it's like they all use them. In artistic as well, except for maybe neon glow. So it's all right if you don't want there to be any, color, bright colors added. You can just kind of keep the same color. This one is just where the texture is added. So right now I have 3 layers. If I make the background invisible, you can see I still have quite a ways to go. You can always put more layers on top. For example, if I even just wanted to go with one like right here, just for design purposes, I go to my background, layer via copy, and you would be dragging this in front. And then if I wanted to put another different filter, I can go like that. You can change the order. I just did it before. Like let's say that I want the blue to be in front. You can change the order of these layers just for visual interest. If I just wanted this last layer here to maybe just be in front of one thing but not the other. So let's see if I can switch it around. Let's see. Something like that. So you're just going to be playing around. Now I do want you to be aware of colors. So right now I have blue and I have red. You don't want to get too crazy with colors. You want to use maybe 4 different colors and throughout the design, and you want to have a balance. So for example, I have this red field right here, and I actually want the red to be in front. So I have this red here. For balance, I probably want to put some red up here and maybe a little bit over here. So you want to have a nice balance of colors, and you want to have a nice variety of filters and textures. So if I do go with like this blue here, again, maybe balancing it off with some blue along the bottom. And even with this local color, you want to have a nice balance of these natural colors. So if I have a big natural colored area here, I can balance it out up on top and on the bottom somewhere. But eventually, you want to be able to make the background invisible and not see any areas that were not filtered. So you're going to be filling up the space. Okay? I'm going to be having a document, Word doc, along with this video to kind of take you through the steps. And along with the instructions in this doc, I'm also going to include some of the things that you're going to be assessed on. And so you want to keep an eye on. For example, the balance of colors and the balance of the patterns and the filters that you're using, as well as having a nice balance also of these shapes. You see I have a nice long rectangular shape. I might want to balance it out with another long rectangular shape, maybe down below somewhere. Maybe this one will be more vertical, this one's horizontal. So you want to have a nice variety, but also a nice balance. Okay? So have fun with this. I do expect you guys to, you know, enjoy this and experiment and play around with certain things. Don't just kind of, you know, do this in 5 minutes and have it done quickly. You should have, you know, do some alternative sort of experimentation and stuff. You should be able to play around with it a little bit. Okay? Have fun.